Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we will see how to communicate with your server when you build a web application, right? How you will interact with your application which is deployed into server. Okay, so basically we will use browser to connect with server. We will see internal mechanism step by step. How from browser to server it will connect and gives us information. First thing, we will implement code as we understand about basic servlets or any framework you can use. You implement a code here using servlets or by using Spring, whatever web framework you use, you implement it. So I have implemented one web application using servlets or Spring. So this is my application. This is my web application. And this web application need to deployed on a server like Tomcat. Sir, I implemented my web application using servlets. Where to run? I need to run this on Tomcat server. Tomcat server is a application. In the Tomcat, we will run our web application. And where we will place this entire code, we will buy a server. We'll buy a server. In that server, we will place all these. Maybe a Windows server or a Linux, anything. From internet providers, you may choose AWS Cloud or GoDaddy. There are so many providers are providing it, Google Cloud or Azure. From whichever cloud you get it. In that server, we will deploy our code. Server is nothing but a virtual machine or a computer that is provided via internet. Instead of deploying code in our local machine, we will deploy in a machine where 24/7 internet, power, everything is available 24/7. These servers will run without latency and without power loss. We will get services from them. So I deployed my code here, sir. Now how to interact with this application. So to connect with this particular application, you will have a domain. You will buy a domain, sir. I purchased a domain, something www.myapplication.name.com or something .in. I purchased it. Somehow I connected with this domain. This is my domain name, sir. When I use this domain name, I should be able to connect with my application. Where should I place this domain name? We will open browser, any browser like Chrome or Internet Explorer or Firefox or Edge. There are thousands of browsers. We will open a browser. In that browser, here this is the URL section. There we will type the URL, my website URL, rbotech.in. I entered. So my website is getting loaded. One more application, btlink.in. My BT-Link application is loaded. Like this, whichever application you search, it will connect with your server and the content from server it will read and it displays in the browser here. So my application is part of a server like AWS or GoDaddy somewhere. I deployed it and I connected with this domain .com or .in, some domain I used. And I connected my application through this domain URL. When I enter a URL here, what will happen really? So I entered my application URL. Let's say I deployed a Servlet or Spring application here, sir, which is running. Now, when I type that particular URL, how it is identifying this particular server? Sir, I'm residing in Hyderabad, India. So these browsers I'm opening in my laptop from Hyderabad, India, somewhere in Hyderabad. I'm using my wireless internet or wide internet, something. I have internet connection. So as I have internet connection, I opened a browser and entered a particular URL here. Then how it is exactly connecting to the server? There will be thousands or millions of servers here, lakhs of servers or crores of servers. 1 crore servers, let's say they exist in the world. When I type a URL here, how it will identify out of this 1 crore servers, where exactly your application is deployed, how directly it will connect with your service. Logically, this browser, whichever browser you use, sir, I'm using Chrome browser. In Chrome, I entered URL. Logically, your Chrome browser should aware of this server, IP address, and port number of this Tomcat. Every server or every machine will have an IP address, something 200.1.190.180 dot something, a random number I'm giving. Every machine will have a IP address. Logically, your browser should aware of this IP address and in which port number you are running your Tomcat, either 8080 or 9090. So when your browser aware of this IP address and this port number, then only it can able to connect. But I don't know, sir. I know only the URL. The only part I know is this URL, www.myapplication.com. I typed that URL in web browser. Here I typed it, rbutech.in. Then how it is identifying? Will it check with all 1 crore servers? Is it available in your machine? This code or this particular service is deployed into your machine. Will it check with all these 1 crore servers? Impossible. It will take a lot of time if it do such a query. Instead of that, what will happen internally is it will use a DNS service. It will use a DNS service. Basically, I have internet, right? I connected with my Wi-Fi here. Obviously, I'm using one Wi-Fi provider, Reliance 5G I'm using. So my ISP provider will have a DNS server. My ISP provider will have a DNS server. Means when you type any URL, first it will connect with your internet provider. It will connect with your internet provider, internet service provider. You can call it as DNS root server, DNS root. It will connect with this server first. Every internet provider will have his own DNS. Reliance has its own DNS. So first, when you type any URL and clicks enter, it connects with your internet provider because that is where first it is having a server. As I am using Reliance service, it will connect with Reliance provider, DNS root server. Then what this DNS root server will do to identify the server location. Let me explore through internal mechanism. If you see this picture, now we are here. I entered my URL in this browser, rbutech.in. Okay, example www.rbutech.in. I given this URL in my browser. What will happen immediately? Your browser, with the help of your operating system, obviously this browser existing in my machine only. By using my operating system, it will connect to my DNS resolver. It will connect to my DNS resolver, which is provided by internet provider. So obviously, when I enter this in my browser, it will connect with Reliance provider. Reliance provider. It will connect with Reliance provider DNS resolver. This is the first step. This is the first step, step one. Step one, it will connect with DNS provider. And just a minute. So first step one, it contacts your internet service provider resolver. Then what this resolver will do, it will connect with the root name servers. Sir, how many root name servers are existed in the world? Ideally, there are 13 root name servers, only 13. 13 root name servers are available in this world. Sir, who are providing? These 13 root name services are provided by some organizations. Immediately, once you request for a website, once you request for a website, it will connect with your internet provider resolver. Internet provider resolver, in the next step, it will connect with root name servers. There are 13 root name servers, whichever is available. It will connect with that root name server. Let me list out all that root name servers here. If you see, these are the root name servers. a.root-servers.net is one service provided by Versen. You can see all these providers. B root name server, C, D, E, F until M. Provided by many organizations. You can see the names: Information Science Institute, Cogent Communication, the University of Maryland, NASA, Internet System Consortium, ISC, US Department of Defense Network, US Army, NetNod, Versin, RIPE, ICANN, wide projects. See, there are so many, not so many, there are 13 root name servers. So your internet provider resolver will connect with this 13 root name servers. Sir, how they aware of my service, which is running in a particular server recently I brought. Okay, you brought it recently and you connected with this domain. Whenever you connected with this domain, they will register, your domain here in this authority name service. Sir, this is my first request, yet I don't have made any request to my website. It's okay. Even if it is a first request also, they will search for your website and they will register here in authority name server. Here, all your websites, all websites, IPs stored. Okay, let me explain here second step. So your internet provider will connect with root name servers. There are 13 root name servers as I listed, right? A to M. A dot root name server, B dot root name server. Like that, A to M we have. A to M, 13 root name servers. A, B, C, D, E, managed by multiple organizations. E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M. You can ignore G. G is not used. Apart from G, all A to M is utilized. 13 root name servers are available. Now, whenever you place a request, it will go to DNS resolver. DNS resolver will call root name server. Then root name server will forward TLD name server. Let's say you search it for .com or .in, .org, .net. If you see our website, it contains .in. If you see BT link having .in. Like that, I have so many domains. Jobsupport24.com. www.jobsupport24.com. So this is using .com. So whichever domain extension you are using, let's say I'm using .com sir for my domain or .in. So it will forward to that particular TLD name server. I'm using .com or .in. It will redirect to .com TLD name service. Top level domain. TLD, nothing but top level domain. Top level domain means this extensions. .com or .in, .org. Right. So first it connects with the root name server. The root name server will identify, okay, hey boy, you made a request www.rbutech.in. Okay, I got it. You are placing .in request. Okay, let me forward it to .in TLD name server. It will forward it to .in TLD name server. .in TLD name server will execute. Then what .in TLD name server will do? It will forward to authoritative name server. It will forward to authoritative name server. It have all the information of your IP addresses. It will tell to authority name server, hey, I got www.rbutech.in. Identify that particular website IP address. As already I registered, right? I registered through GoDaddy. In GoDaddy, I registered. When you map your DNS mapping, we will do basically when we purchase the domain, right? www.rbutech.in. I must have mapped rbutech.in with my IP address here. In this domain provider, I have done that. So what it will do immediately, whichever IP information you have with your GoDaddy, that information will be fetched. That information will be fetched or already available in this authoritative name server. So this is my key www.rbutech.in having a IP address. That information, this authoritative name server will contain www.rbutech.in is having so and so IP 200.10.180. Something like this, including the port number, whichever port it is. So immediately authority name server will return that particular IP address, to this internet provider. Then internet provider will do what? For the next communication, right? By using the same internet, I may search for same website n number of times. What it will do again and again, it will not contact this root name or TLD services. Whichever IP address you have returned, that it will cache here, the same information. Okay. Your internet provider will do what? Let me cache this. Let me cache it here. Otherwise, every time I need to again go to root name and TLD, then authoritative service. That may take a lot of time. Let me register in the cache. Your internet provider will keep it into the cache. Then finally, it will provide you IP address of particular application which you deployed. This is your server. Here is my server. In this server, actually, my logic, my application contains whichever servlets or Spring I have implemented. It is part of that particular server. Then it will return that particular server IP address to browser. Then browser interacts with your service directly. Then it will interact with your service directly. Once it gets the information, right? Anyway, it will get the complete IP details. Using that IP details, it will connect with your service. Then your browser will interact. It will make calls to your application, whichever calls you made. So to make a successful connection between this browser and server, internally, it will do lot of mechanism. First, it will contact your internet provider. Internet provider connects with the root name server. Root name server will redirect to TLD name server. TLD name server will redirect to authoritative name server. Authoritative name server will provide the IP address. Then it will get the particular machine IP address. Then actual communication will happen between browser and server. Sir, can I see which which DNS resolver I am using and how it is connecting with my service. Yes. You can open a command prompt. Here you can type ns lookup and your website address www.orbitech.in. Let's enter ns lookup. Use this command in Windows. Ns lookup www.orbitech.in. Enter. Server, it is showing the DNS service. Reliance, it is using the DNS service address and non-authoritative answer. So non-authoritative server given this details, non-authoritative server from root service. If you see, this is first your DNS provider, ISP provider. So the first call, first address it is showing is your internet provider address. First call went to internet provider. Then finally it connected with authoritative name service via root name server. So it is showing here. It is showing the details here. The first request, when you look up for www.orbitech.in, it went to ISP provider redirected to root server redirected to TLD server redirected to authoritative service. Then it is showing my application name. Yes, actually internally this is my application name and it is running in this IP addresses. If you see, it is running in this particular IP addresses. Actual alias name means my domain name is www.orbitech.in. It is available in this particular IP addresses. Copying this IP address, go to browser, just giving this IP here, enter. Or just copy this one. It's okay. Basically, internally, it is connecting with that particular IP. If you want to see from browser also, you can see here. Just inspecting this page. Inspect your page. Go to network. Refresh this page. www.orbitech.in. Click here. See the internal IP address details. Using IP only, it will communicate. Using that particular IP, it will get the data and loads here, right? You can see that. Remote IP address. It is connecting with this particular machine. Actually, where my code exists. And remaining all details has copied here. You least worry about it. But yes, you can see this IP address. And you can see that is matching with this address. And this is the internet provider address. So internally, it will fetch all the IP details. Then it will make the communication. It will get the data from that particular service. So this much will happen internally when you search for any application. Why I am telling all these means, in the next upcoming sessions, we will learn how to implement a backend code and we will connect through browser to our backend services. Once we learn about completely servlets, right, we will implement a web application and from browsers only we will talk or we need to talk with our servers. Browsers are like clients to us. Via internet, we can able to talk with these services. From this session one itself, I'll show you via internet how to connect to this particular application which is running in my service. How to make a simple application and how to connect. Finally, when you deploy your application, you may surprise how it is connecting when I enter a URL. Now you must have complete knowledge how internal communication is happening. Yeah, thank you all.